Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm Brother Ijaz, and welcome to the Honor the Prophet Muhammad campaign Facebook page. We're also joined today by the Dawah Collective, and we're also streaming on Calling Christians YouTube Muslim Apologetics website. Today, I'm very excited. We got a brilliant show in store for you. And as you know, the issue of Islamophobia has been big given the recent elections in the United States. We've had a couple of terror incidents in France. We've had protests due to some cartoons. And so this is a really relevant topic, at least at this point in time. The world is in chaos because of the virus. There's a lot of hate. And what we want to do is share a little bit of love, some stories about redemptive love. And so we have Brother Richard McKinney with us. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Richard McKinney. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam. I'm doing good. How about you?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Really excited about hearing about your story. I do have an article where your story is being shown. Let me just share my screen here briefly so that the those watching can see it. Let me see here. Okay, so it's a pretty tough read, but it's entitled "My Whole Life Is Guilt: The Former Extremist Who Disavowed His Bigotry and Converted to Islam." Salon talks to a man featured on Secret Lives of Muslims about rejecting the anti-Islam beliefs he once held. Now, Brother Richard, the guy in the picture looks just like you, so I hope I got the right article up here. Brother
Yes.
Richard, tell us a bit about yourself and a little bit about your journey, if you can, inshallah.
Sure. I guess it really, the big part of it was I spent 25 years in the military. I joined the Marine Corps and I retired from the Army. Um, I was 25 years is a long time. I've been around the world. The only continent I haven't been on is Antarctica. And I used to tell people that until they put penguins on the terrorist watch list, I probably wouldn't go to Antarctica. So, I developed a hatred for Islam. It's the common enemy, right? That's the way most of society looks at Islam. It's the common enemy. It is. It's out there, and it's unfortunately, it's looked at with a lot of ignorance. And I think that's the biggest drawback is that there's so much ignorance involved with people outside of Islam that they just they just don't know. They don't know the truth. I didn't know the truth. I took my whole understanding of Islam strictly from the people I had seen, the people I dealt with, which were insurgents and members of the Taliban, Al Qaeda. Those were the people I dealt with. So to me, that was my image of Islam, which is not how Islam truly is at its essence, and
Brother Richard,
yeah.
if I may ask here, right? We're joined by a couple of brothers along with me. We've got Brother Mustafa, who's just below you. I don't know if you can see him on the screen. He's just
Yes.
below you. Below that, we're joined, not judged. My goodness, we're joined by Brother Mukit, and right behind the last point, we're joined by Brother Faz. So a couple of these brothers are from London, England. One of them is from New York, and so these brothers come. They have a wealth of experience behind them.
Mhm.
What's important to keep in mind is that you're offering the opposite side. So none of us have ever plotted an attack. I think it's strange that the crowd watching, myself, Paz, Mukit, Mustafa, we're not the ones. So Brother McKinney here, began to plan an attack because of your exposure to your information about Muslims. You didn't have a very good opinion of us, right?
No, no.
And the spoiler to the story is that you eventually entered into Islam, but you
Mhm.
still planned this attack. So please walk us through what happened. What primarily motivated you? Was it something of like revenge? Was it anger? Was it a combination of those emotions?
Well, I was made to retire
Mm,
because of an accident I was involved in Iraq, and I was hurt badly enough to where they basically told me it's time to go, man. It's time for you to retire, and I was mad. I was mad because I didn't want to retire. I felt that the country itself had used me and spit me out. I felt like the military didn't have my back. It left me kind of empty in a way. But I had this sense of hatred, and I turned it. I've turned it as an organ in my body. Like a heart or a liver. We need these things to live. And I felt that if I had gotten rid of this hatred, I would die. It was the only thing keeping me alive. Um, but so I had devised a plan to lessons learned in the military. I had planned to construct my own IED,
mm,
which I had done, and I was going to drop it off on a Thursday night, late night, early morning Friday, and wait till everybody got there for Juma services. And I had planned a position to where I could watch it all, and I was just going to dial it in and watch it all go up. And I didn't care about myself because I knew I would get caught. You just don't get away with stuff like that. You know what I mean? Maybe not right away, but they were going to get me. I was okay with that. I was okay facing the fact that I was going to end up in a federal prison with a needle in my arm. I was fine with that because I've lived my life, and I wanted to do one last thing for my country.
oh,
That's the way I saw it. That's how I saw it. Uh, and so my daughter came home from school one day, and she knew that Dad had been around the world, seen a lot of different things, and this one lady came in to pick up her son from class. They had something planned or something. I don't know. And my daughter was kind of taken aback. She was like 7 years old at the time, I guess. Six, well, 5 or 6, 7, I don't know, something like that. She's almost 17 now, so it was a minute ago.
inshallah.
Um, so she came and she said, "Well, I'll ask Dad. Dad don't know where she's from or why she's dressed like that, right?" And when she told me, I just blew up. I started spewing profanities and all kinds of nasty stuff, and I was mad because I made the statement that I don't want my family around those people. It was that number one bigoted statement. All bigots say that, right? Um, and I saw the look in her eyes. Now you have to understand something. Everybody that knew me knew that I did not like Muslims. They had no idea what extent I was going to, or I planned to go to through that hatred. Nobody knew about my plan. Nobody, absolutely no one knew. My wife was in total shock when she found out. She actually found out the truth when the FBI showed up at the house looking for a
Mm,
bomb. That's when she
Oh,
found
wow.
out. Yeah. So, I mean, nobody knew because, I was very selfish. I was very selfish in this. This was mine. I was doing this. But when I saw the look on my daughter's face, it's like she was questioning her love for me. And that really made a light bulb come on because even though I felt the way that I felt, I did not believe in passing off personal beliefs, especially prejudice, to our younger generation. I didn't believe in that, which is really, I'm like a walking contradiction. I truly am. And I didn't think that was right. So I said, okay, what I'm going to do because of this, I'm going to go to the Islamic Center. I'm going to walk in there. I'm going to meet these people because maybe these are those Muslims that people talk about that are not bad people. Maybe these are like the good ones, right? And maybe I don't want to do that in this community, right? So I did. I walked in. I walked in early, big about being early, right? And there was only one other person there. He was at the time he was the one who called the Adon. African American gentleman. At the time he looked like he was like 9 foot tall. He actually used to play pro basketball back in the 70s. And he looked at me and I looked at him and he smiled, says, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I want you to teach me about Islam." He just looked at me, kind of chuckled, and he said, "Well, how long do you got?" I said, "I got a couple hours." He said, "Well, we'll give it a shot." And, we kind of went from there. And it just grew and grew and grew. I sat and I listened to the hoopah.
Brother
Yeah.
Richard, if I may ask you, so had you been caught at this point already?
Have I been what? Caught? No, 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 no. And the funny thing is that nobody ever caught me. It was when I started telling my story,
Mm-hmm.
somebody turned me in. And of course, by then,
Ah,
I'm all, this is what I like to tell people is that, I had become a Muslim at that point. So contrary to popular belief, I had no need for explosives. So I got rid of them. I actually disposed of everything the way it should have been, disposed of. I mean, it was safe. And so I didn't have anything. So, when the police came, the FBI and then the bomb dog and then all of that stuff, I welcomed it. I said, yeah, go ahead. No
what
problem.
was the? I mean, at this point, your family, do they know that you're a Muslim or do they not know?
Oh, well, they do now, of course. Yeah. And that's another funny story. But, yeah, so I went and I talked to some people. I listened to the hoopah, and of course, it's really, I thought to myself, man, this sounds really good. These people are talking about peace and all this other stuff. And wow, they're just saying it because I'm here. Right. And that's the way I felt. And so I got introduced to another gentleman. We went into another room, which was the library. And after the sermon, and we sat down and talked. And of course, I never introduced myself as the person who wanted to blow this place up. I introduced myself as, I just want to learn a little bit more about your religion, And he asked me, he says, "Have you ever read the Quran?" I was like, "Actually, no, I haven't." So he went over to the bookshelf. He got a Quran. And I tell this to all Muslims, man. If anybody ever comes to you and wants to learn about Islam, do this. He handed me a Quran. He said, "Take it home." He said, "I want you to read it. Come back to me when you have questions." And I took that advice to heart. I did. I read it. And I came back. It wasn't Ramadan, so I was there more than Muslims were. I was there all the time because I had questions and I wanted to do this thing right. I wanted to be able to stand in court and say, "Yep, this is why I did this. And this is my evidence." Even though I know I'd still end up where I had said, but whatever. The thing was, I couldn't find the evidence because the evidence didn't exist. I had learned that everything I thought was completely and utterly wrong. That this religion does not preach hate. It does not talk about mass killing and just different things. When I come across verses like kill all the non-believers, I come across that and I'm like, I got them now, right? I went back and I asked about it and they explained it. And I was like, oh, well, there's stuff like that all over the Bible. Yeah, so I understood it for what it meant. It didn't mean everybody. It meant a certain group of people, right? And so, Muslims are not hunting everybody that's not a Muslim. We're not hunting everybody all over the world because we don't have anything against other people like that. That was a different time, a different group, and but and then I came across verses, especially like Surah 5, 32nd ayah. When it talks about to to save one human being is as if you saved all of humanity, and to take a human being, to take a life is as if you killed all of humanity. That's when it really hit me. That was the verse that really meant something to me, because that's when the light bulb came on, and I finally realized that my examples that I have been given about Islam were false. That is an example of a people, of a situation, not of a religion. And I cannot base the religion off of their actions. I can't do that, not anymore, because this is their book. I thought to myself, this is their book. And a Muslim, if he calls himself a Muslim, is supposed to live their life as best they can according to this book. Well, I didn't really feel they were doing that. But again, that's not for me. That's not for me to justify. I don't need to justify that. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my religion. I can't speak for them. But as time went on, my wife at the time was very, very anxious. She thought I was planning something. She had no idea. I'd already had the plan. It was good to go, and I was ready, But she thought I was planning something. She was very anxious. She knew I was reading the Quran. I was watching Islamic videos on YouTube, both good and bad. And I was going to this Islamic center all the time. I was invited over to people's houses. Families invited me in to have dinner and stuff. It's a big thing in the Muslim world. Well, we might not convert you, but we're going to feed you. So that's a big thing, I was brought into the community, not even being a part of it. And it was just very welcoming to me. And I woke up one morning and says, you know what? I need to be a Muslim. I need to right these wrongs, man. I need to explain to people from somebody like me who does not look like a Muslim. I didn't even have a beard at the time, right? So, it's like, don't even look like I'm white. I'm an American veteran. This is the last person you'd probably ever think would be a Muslim, right? And it's got me in a lot of doors because of that. And I'm very thankful for that. Very thankful to Allah that He has allowed me those opportunities. So I went back, and it's really funny because I went back on a Friday. I wanted to make a big deal of it, so I did it at a Juma. I went in and I told these older gentlemen that says, I want to take my Shahada today. And it's real funny because they look at me, and simultaneously they both look at each other, and they look back at me, and they go, nah. Oh, subhanallah. And it was funny, really. And they said, brother, you have so much more to learn. And I says, I actually, yes, I do have a lot to learn, but don't we all? And so when I made that statement, there was like, all right, come on. And so, the rest is kind of history. The funny part of that is I went home after that. Not, like most husbands, I don't tell my wife anything. So she had no idea what was going on inside my head, right? And I go home and I kind of plop down on the couch, like I just got back from a hard day's work. And she goes, so did everything go okay today? I said, yeah, it was a great day. I says, I'm a Muslim. She goes, you're a what? I says, I took my Shahada today. She goes, you show what? And so I explained, that's good. In my infantile knowledge of Islam at the time, I had to explain what Shahada was. And, that. So then she started getting defensive. And she says, well, I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm not putting anything on my head. And I said, well, I'm not a Muslim, so I don't really even think that's a conversation unless you just want to wear something on your head. That's okay. And then she got, and this is really funny, then she got really defensive, and she put a hand on her hip. And when your wives put a hand on her hip, it's over. It's over, man. Yeah. So you just tuck your tail and run. And but she put a hand on her hip, and she goes, and another thing, if you want more than one wife, I won't be one of them. I was like, whoa, whoa, oh, no. That's not even in the wheelhouse right now. I'm not even thinking about that. You got to be kidding me. I can't handle one of you. so, so, uh, and it just kind of went through there, and then I just grew. I just grew in knowledge, and I grew, experiences, and my story started getting out a little bit more and a little bit more, and then this company, this production company in New York, asked to make a video. And I was supposed to. It's an internet series. It's not a television series. That's the thing. So, um, I don't question the methods of Allah at all, but it kind of makes me wonder the reasoning behind this plan, because what had happened is after we recorded, had the premiere, everybody showed up. They flew me back to New York for the premiere, and it was really good. It was very surreal to watch it for the first time. Very surreal. We filmed in two different locations. For mine, we filmed in a studio, and then they came to Muncie here in Indiana to film another part of it. And so it was about ready to come out because I was part of the second season, and there were several different shows, and each one came out a different week. So mine's getting ready to come out. Well, the producer calls me. I'm at work, and the producer calls me and says, "Hey, just wanted to check in with you. Your show's about ready to come out." And I said, "Yeah, I was looking forward to it. See, reactions, see how it goes." And he said, "Well, I need to tell you that it's going to be on the internet, but it's also going to be on television." I was like, "It's going to be on what?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, here's what I did. The president of CBS happens to be a friend of mine, and I took the video to her. She watched it, and she looked me dead in the eye, and she says, that's going on my Sunday morning program." That's how I ended up on CBS Sunday morning. But what really put me there was the shootings in New Zealand that happened. The shootings happened about a week and a half, 2 weeks before. Yeah, before my video was scheduled to come out. And that's what catapulted it, really, and it became so popular at that point. Was really had to do with the shootings, and that's why I said I don't question Allah's methods, but man, I hate to see something like that happen. So.
Brother Richard, see,
Yes.
we have another guest with us today who is also a convert to Islam. His name is Brother Vincent Buckles, right?
Okay.
And you can probably see his name on the screen. He's just below mine's.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a very special reason that we have you on today along with him.
Okay.
I'm going to read a story, and I guess we're going to gauge your reaction as we read it, God willing. And we're hoping that you can provide some comfort and some advice,
Sure.
given what I'm just about to read. So, I guess here we go. Bismillah. Can you guys see the screen? Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. At Wichita Mosque, this man had a gun and made Islamophobic comments, witness says. So this happened on November the 2nd, just a few days ago, Brother Richard. And the brother that we are joined with Brother Vincent, he is a member of this community, specifically of this masjid. So I need to read for you what has happened at this masjid. And perhaps it is you can give him and his community some honest advice, given your own experiences and what you think the community can do to perhaps allay the fears that they may be experiencing at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So the news article reads, a 26-year-old Wichita man is in jail and a local Islamic leader is calling for peace after a man reportedly showed up to a Wichita mosque with a handgun and yelled Islamophobic comments at a Muslim man. Wichita police arrested Dustin Atterburn, 26 years old, Friday on suspicion of aggravated assault and disorderly conduct after he reportedly went to a northeast Wichita mosque while armed with a gun and yelled anti-Muslim comments at a 53-year-old Muslim man. Atterburn, 26, is also suspected of putting up concerning posters around the Islamic Society of Wichita. A news release from Officer Charlie Davidson said Atterburn was being held at Sedgwick County Jail Monday afternoon in lieu of a 75,000 US dollar bond. The assault was reported around 5:45 p.m. Friday, again just on a Friday as your plans were, Brother Richard, when police responded to a disturbance with a weapon call at the Masjid Mosque about a block southwest of Wichita State University near 17 and Hillside Streets. Brother Richard, this is near a school as well. And
Yeah.
that's the scary thing about it. But that's just not it. The guy didn't just make Islamophobic comments. He didn't just come with a gun. He didn't start off just only near the school. It got even to another level of discrimination. A
Hmm.
police report states that Atterburn was making racial comments and discriminating against the victim's religion. So even racism played a role in this as well. The story continues. Mahbub Khan, president of Masjid An-Nur Inc., said Atterburn was carrying anti-Muslim Charlie Hebdo posters and that he was told by police that the man had been distributing them at the Islamic Society of Wichita near Woodlawn and K96. In 2015, two Muslim brothers forced their way into the Charlie Hebdo, a satirical newspaper in Paris, and killed 12 people and injured 11. Khan
Hmm.
said Atterburn showed up to the mosque and confronted him Friday while displaying the distorted cartoon of our beloved Prophet, slamming the Holy Quran, cursing with profanity, displaying anger, hostile threats against the peaceful religion of Islam. So I'm just going to pause here, Brother Richard.
Hmm.
uh, there's some commonality between your story and this man's story, right? He's
Right.
angry, he's agitated, he just wants to lash out. What advice can you possibly give to the Muslim community of Wichita, Kansas, who are experiencing this right now?
Well, first and foremost, times like this, and I actually believe that this is also part of Allah's plan. Um, we have an issue with the Ummah right now, which is Ummah wide, whether it's our local Ummah or the world Ummah. We have no unity, none. We really don't. Um, and this is a way that calls us to be together. It we have to unify in order to survive. Um, it's like going back even to just to put it in perspective of military operations. There's no such thing as a real life Rambo. It takes a team. It's the same thing here. There's safety in numbers. We have to be together. We have to show the rest of the world that in the way of adversity, we still love you. Uh, Whether you think that's just that we should feel that way, sorry about your luck. That's our religion. That's our way of thinking. That's the way it's supposed to be, anyway. If even touching on the Charlie Hebdo thing, yeah, that was uncalled for. It shouldn't have been done. Sure, it shouldn't have. But we have to, think about how would Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam act? How would he act? What would he do in that? We hear the stories all the time. We read the hadiths all the time. What was the one about the lady, his neighbor, used to bring trash set over in front of his door every day, right? And then she didn't for a few days in a row, and he was concerned. He went over to make sure she was okay. How many of us would do that? Or we would go over and try to kick his door in or something, right? I mean, that's what we would do, I mean, that's human. But, of course, he was above that. But he set the example that, so if you look at it in that light with the Charlie Hebdo thing, it just becomes, it's in poor taste and it's rude. It's not worth killing people over. That's not what it's about. That's not what our faith is about. We don't do that. So if we follow the examples of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave it to us. He gave us the examples to use. And we've gotten away from that. We really have. As an ummah, we've gotten away from that. It's sad that these things happen. It's sad that this thing happened in Wichita. This is the first I've heard of it, and it's frightening. It's very frightening. But I think the best thing we can do now is actually show compassion for this individual. Because there's something evil in him that's making him do this, making him act this way. And I'm going to even make the assumption it's straight up total ignorance, absolute ignorance, like me. He didn't know what the religion really stood for. Now, in saying that, again, going back to my story, you have to base the religion off the religion, not off the people that supposedly practice the religion. That's where the problem comes up. That's where it breaks down, and that's where society gets these ideas that it's a violent religion. We beat our women, and all kinds of stuff, right? And that's not what we do. That's a very misunderstood thing about hitting women. It's very misunderstood. It's taken out of context, but people see that, and people make out yell at Muslim couples. Oh, hey, you beat your wife today? They don't know, but it's that ignorance that has made people act the way they do. Come together as a community, and doing that, also bring the outside community in, because this happened with this individual. We're in a position now to where we have to prove ourselves. And people, a lot of people get very arrogant about that. Well, I have nothing to prove. Well, okay, take that attitude. That's fine. But you do. You do. This is not an armchair quarterback kind of religion.
No.
This is an active religion. You have to be active in order to fulfill your duties as a Muslim. One of those duties is dawah. Now, dawah is not necessarily just standing on a street corner, passing out pamphlets and Qurans and taking people's shahada. No, dawah is this. This is dawah right now. What we're doing. Because if a non-Muslim stumbles across this and gets to see it, and they're like, maybe they got something. And he goes to look up a Quran, and he starts reading the Quran. And, the rest is all on Allah, right? I mean, that's the way it works. So, alhamdulillah, that's, so bring the outside community in, get involved in it. Like I tell people, if you want to boost your non-Muslim compassion, the rest of your community that is not a Muslim, the rest of your town, the rest of your city, the rest of your state here in America, get involved in an interfaith program and put that thing on steroids. Because that's what it's about. Because, and I've talked with a lot of Muslims that are very arrogant about that. And they're like, well, we will have no mixing with non-Muslims. Okay. Well, you will never progress in your community. Never. If that's your attitude. This is,
Brother Richard, could we
yes.
take a moment to bring Brother Vincent in and hear from him, perhaps,
Sure.
What his community is experiencing, and we can perhaps get your feedback on some of what he says. Because, Brother Richard, you're giving some fantastic advice. The people in the comments absolutely love having heard your story. They're being introduced to you, some of them for the first time. We got Brother Kenny, whom I believe you know. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, yeah. Alhamdulillah.
He's a good friend to the show. He's a good friend of Brother Mustafa's, Faz's, Mukita, and myself. Brother Vincent, are you here? Can you hear me, Brother Vincent?
Assalamu alaikum, Akiri Khan.
Wa alaikum assalam. So, just to be clear, guys, Brother Vincent can't give too many details because the case is before the courts. So, we're going to ask general questions. But, Brother Vincent, what are your emotions right now? How have you and your family been since this recent incident in your own community?
we're kind of hurt by it. You know what I'm saying? We thought this kind of act is gone. You know what I'm saying? People don't act like this anymore. But in the
Is your family
community,
concerned about your well-being, about are they fearful now that they have to hide in the community? Do the Muslims have to be afraid in the community? Is that something that's concerning you all?
yeah, definitely is. It's you don't know who's watching you or what somebody's gonna do. You go to pray at the Masjid and you come outside, you could die. It,
It
in
must be
in
scary.
America, yeah, in America is that you shouldn't have to look over your shoulder. You know.
Subhanallah. Brother Richard, what do you have to say about what Vincent has just said?
Uh, well, brother, I am so sorry to hear the news that's happened to your community. That's very tragic. It takes away from the mission of you know all the Abrahamic religions actually. And that I'm just so sorry to hear that. I understand. I understand the feelings of your community. Matter of fact, I belong to what's called the MAI, the Muslim Alliance of Indiana, and we just had a meeting over situations like what he's talking about because of the election and seeing people. Nobody's really sure what's going to happen next. So there's kind of like that on edge feeling. And we just had a meeting over it. We haven't seen a lot here in Indiana. Alhamdulillah. Hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully it stays that way.
Inshallah.
But it could, and obviously it just did in Wichita. Your community, instead of and this is one thing I hated about my own community when I first became president, was the fact that people were content about being in the shadows, being in the shadows. And one of my primary goals as president was to bring the community out of the shadows. People need to know we're here. And in saying that, people need to know who we really are. We're not a cult. We're not some crazy, bunch of people that, pray to a different God. And we're not, people don't know that. I still have people telling me that I pray to a different God. I'm like, I try to explain it to them. They just don't want to hear it. Okay. So and the only way of doing that is opening up yourself to the community, to the outside community. That may be a hard thing to do. Especially more with your what's termed as ethnic Muslims over your indigenous Muslims. Your indigenous Muslims might welcome that idea. Ethnic Muslims, maybe not so much. Because like I said earlier, you see me on the streets today, you would never know I was a Muslim. Not at all. Actually, people have thought I was Amish. so I've actually been told that, and of course I'm older and I'm overweight, so little kids think I'm Santa Claus.
or Yusuf Estes.
Yeah, exactly. Yusuf Estes. I love that guy.
I actually met him when he came to my home country. I think in the early 2000s. I could be wrong here. But I want to bring in Brother Mustafa to get an outside perspective because Brother Mustafa lives in London. And as you know, Brother Richard, London is a very multicultural city. He's born and bred in London, West London, if I'm not mistaken. Brother Mustafa, you attend one of the largest masjids in the UK, right? East London Masjid. What can you tell us about the Muslim community there and their efforts to introduce Islam to the local community? Is Islam seen as something strange in your neighborhood? Are people familiar with Muslims? Can you let us know?
Jazakallah khair. So in our community, which is East London, that's from East London, we have a very big Muslim community. And subhanallah, we have a project in our masjid that every year what we do, we give invitations to the non-Muslims. So we invite them to our masjid and they come in, give them a tour like you do in States as well, give them food, tour, they can ask questions, and it's an open day. And then, subhanallah, we also tell them that you're free to come in any time and watch us pray. Masjid is open. So they're free to walk in the masjid, watch us, go anywhere, no problem, So that's what they do. And subhanallah, what we've noticed as well, because I work with a brother who's a senior member at the East London Masjid, and he said each time we do this, within weeks, we get multiple of those people coming in and they accept Islam. So subhanallah, it's a very big project, and you do have the a lot of anti-Muslim as well, like the EDF and all of that, English Defence League and EDL. Sorry, EDF. I said EDL, English Defence League, and all that. They do come in front of the masjid and they do provoke Muslims, but the Muslims, they still stand together. They unite, and there are good non-Muslims as well as Christians and Jews.
No,
we can't paint them all with the same brush. We have to say there are really kind and good non-Muslims as well. And when I say kind and good, I mean they are beautiful in the heart. They stand with us together, and we're all united. But you get those odd people that do go against Islam. They'll come in front of the masjid and they're provoking. They'll come with a big cross and they'll stand. We're not going to let you go inside and pray.
Sure.
It's uncalled for. But alhamdulillah, but we're still united. We have a big community, and we are just inviting them. And there's no need to fight about it, because under the day, it's we all are allowed to practice our religion, right? With love and peace. That's what we want to do, not to spread hatred. So I just wanted to ask, so that's it, is Brother Richard, your advice to those who have hatred. Like I said, there are so many non-Muslims, whether they're Jews, Christians, Hindus, Sikhs. They're beautiful people. They're nice, they're kind, and we love them. Those minorities who have hatred in them for Islam, what is your advice to them? Because they could be watching this now. Please advise them in how to take this hatred away, not to look at us something like alienated and say, look, who are you guys? We want to just get.
Well,
what is your advice?
It's really easy. It's really easy. It depending on their actual feelings or how deep seated their hatred is, it may be hard for them, but it's very easy. First thing is get to know a Muslim. Get to know one. You ask a lot of these people, said, do you know any Muslims personally? 9 times out of 10, you're going to be told no, they don't. So they get their information third person, and it's disseminated in a way that would be very negative. And again, go back with that Quran thing. Hand them the Quran. Tell them, read it, please. Read part of it. Ask me anything you want. If I don't know, I'll find somebody who does. It's that easy. It's that easy. Now, a lot of Muslims, they get so upset that, they'll ask the question, did you convert them? Did they take Shahada? No, they didn't. And then they get disappointed. I'm like, no. I did what I was supposed to do. The rest of it's up to Allah. Allah may touch their heart. He may not. That's not for me. We don't force people, and a lot of Muslims, and I've noticed, unfortunately, and I hate to say it this way, but a lot of it comes from ethnic Muslims. They're like, oh, they didn't convert. You lost. You failed. And that's totally wrong. It's totally wrong. Because it's not up to us. I know in England, I don't know if I forget exactly where, and I forget the brother's name. I've been on his show, and it was a while ago. I totally forgot. My memory is shot anyway, but I forget what I just said, actually. So he's part of this event they have there. I'm sure you've heard of it, Brother Mustafa. It's called the One Eid. Yes. One Eid. That's a perfect example of what to do. Perfect example. They open up Eid not just to the community, but to basically anybody that walks by. They have this. They put it on the streets. Set up tables in the street. I mean, it's huge. It's huge. It's the biggest Eid I've ever seen. And I mean, and it's open to everybody. that's just a perfect example. Now, you don't need to do that all the time. I don't think anybody, any center or Masjid or anything could afford to do something like that a lot. But that's just that's a for instance. Standing on the street corner, I don't necessarily like that. I know a lot of brothers here in America do that, and more power to them. I pray for them. May Allah bless their efforts. But especially in America, people don't necessarily like that. Not as non-Muslims, your everyday person just doesn't really like that. They don't like Christians doing that. They don't like anybody doing that because it's like you're shoving it down their throat. That's the way they feel a lot of times. And so they don't even take the time to actually sit and talk and have a intellectual conversation with a brother. They just don't. They won't. I my hat is off to those who have had success that way. I just don't see it as a very, very prosperous way to do dawah. But then again, that's not my thing,
Brother Richard, if I
yes.
could bring another brother in, Brother Faz. Brother Faz is a little bit north of London, but he's a wonderful brother and he does interfaith talks and dialogues. Brother Faz, are you with us still?
Yes, I am. I am, brother. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Richard.
Oh, yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah.
So, Brother Faz, you give, you speak with non-Muslims almost on a daily basis, and you have to engage with hostile people and sometimes very kind people. I know that you listened very intently to what Brother Richard had to say. What do you take away from Brother Richard's life experience and his time as being a Muslim? What value did you get from that? As a ethnic Muslim, as Brother Richard would put it, what value do you get from what he said today so far?
Well, firstly, I just want to sort of say that what an absolute inspiring story. Your journey to becoming a Muslim, alhamdulillah, it's really inspired me. And so a lot of people in the comments have also made the same statement that it's actually brought tears to some people's eyes because of your amazing journey to Islam. And what I've learned from Brother Richard's views, what he said, I totally agree with him because a lot of people are misled by the true essence of Islam. As Brother Kenny tends to say on his show, be a reader, not a repeater. So I've taken Brother Kenny's quote there, so I hope he doesn't mind.
That's copyrighted, class. That's copyrighted.
Well, alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless Brother Kenny as well for the work that he's doing. Ameen. And so what I've learned from it, it's you need to educate people, and how you educate people is the way you come across without forcing anyone, without putting pressure on anyone. And as Brother Mustafa also did say, that we on a yearly basis, we have once a year we have like it's called a Visit Your Local Mosque Day, where people from different faiths, they come in and they look around the mosque. They actually even see how people pray, and they'll ask questions. So they go to different sections of the mosque where you do your ablution, just to show people that this is how what our faith is actually based on. And what we do then is that we tend to have little gift packs, which we give away when they visit the mosque, which contains a Quran and just a couple of little like thin booklets on the concept of Islam, the concept of God in Islam, who was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So at least they can go away and read for themselves, rather than depending on what people have actually told them about Islam and the negativity of Islam. What also we do is that we actually invite people during the month of Ramadan, and we get a great response where a lot of people from different faiths will come, and they'll actually fast for the day as well. So they actually experience that. And so when they come, alhamdulillah, it's beautiful. So when they do come, we break the fast together. We're all sitting on people who can sit on the floor, they will sit. Otherwise, we have tables laid out for them. But the whole essence of it is just beautiful. It's not, and you don't see any animosity, because there's a lot of good Christians out there and good Jews, and obviously people from different religions as well. But but like I said, what you've said is 100% correct, brother Richard. And may Allah bless you and give you a healthy life and a long life, so you may be an ambassador for our ummah to continue the great work that you're doing. Ameen.
Ameen, ya Rabbil
Ameen.
Alameen.
Just finally read the beautiful comment on the screen about Brother Richard, because I know he has to get going soon for Asia Soul, if I'm not mistaken. But just to read a comment from the visiting soul, he mentions, "Love to Brother Richard. You are a brother in faith. Next time I pray, I will keep you and the panelists in focus in my prayers along with the Ummah."
Ameen, ya Rabbil Alameen.
Ameen.
Brother Richard, what
Ameen.
feedback would you have to give about the beautiful comments of Brother Mustafa, Brother Faz, the statements of Brother Vincent? What would you have to say?
It's just so warming that doing the work I've done, and of course due to COVID, it's really been to just every once in a while someone like you will contact me to do an interview over through technology, and that's fine. But it's so therapeutic, actually, really is the best way to put it, to hear comments, to read comments like that, and to hear the warm embrace of my fellow Muslims. That it helps me to know that what I'm doing is taken seriously. It's not taken for granted, and people are hearing. And the thing is, the community as a whole, getting back to that embracing the community thing, it's not about the whole community, embracing the whole community. It's if you see 500 people and you touch one, you have won, because that person is going to talk to other people, and it just keeps on going. So the goal should not be of, embracing everyone. It should be straight up a goal of one person. If we can change one person's mindset, when my video came out, I read the comments. It was, I couldn't help myself. I had to read the comments. And surprisingly, most of them were good. There were some hateful ones. I've been called a traitor, and, I should just kill myself, and all kinds of crazy things.
Horrible stuff.
I mean, it's like Josh Seftel, the producer, which happens to be a Jewish guy, the producer of Secret Life of Muslims, told me, he says, you can post a video of kittens and puppies on the internet, and somebody's got to have something hateful to say. It's don't. No, you can't hurt my feelings. Don't worry about it. I told him, listen, I've been stabbed, I've been blown out of a building. I said, and I've been married 4 times. You can't hurt me. Okay, so you're not going to hurt my feelings. Okay, but I stumbled along one comment, and this is what sold it for me. This is what made me understand that what I'm doing is the right thing. There was a guy, he used quite a bit of colorful language, so I will PG his statement. Basically what he said was, if a tough guy like you can change the way he thinks about things, I guess I can too. That's it. That is what it's all about right there, man. Right there. And so when I read these comments, man, they boost me up to help me to keep going, because, of course, like anybody else, I've come across some things that happen, and I've come across, and it just, saying, man, I'm done with this. I can't do it no more. I can't do it no more. And then something will happen, and it'll make me say, well, you're not done yet, man. You're not done. And so I keep going. And that's what these comments mean to me. They keep me going.
SubhanAllah.
You're a very special person. Jazakallah khair. Very inspiring, very special person, Brother Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I may offer Brother Vincent the opportunity to ask you even one question or to make one remark, because again, Brother Richard, your words, his community will hear about them. They will see this video. He will share this dialogue that we've had today. Brother Vincent, do you have any remarks for what Brother Richard has said, or do you have any questions for him before he leaves?
How did you deal with the eyes? You feel like eyes are looking at you. How did you overcome that?
I'm sorry.
The eyes that are on them now, on the community that are focused on them, they feel like they're being watched. how did you deal with, these eyes always being on you?
Okay. Well, I actually, and again, I can't speak for everybody because I'm different. I grew up in America as an American. I'm a veteran, and so I can take a little bit of an attitude like, well, if you don't like me, sorry, big deal. But again, I try to put forth that personality because that's what we are, our characteristics. That's what we're supposed to do. Show our character. Even we don't have to say anything, but show our character. And I know people are looking at me. I know people are watching me. It was really funny. I gave a khutbah at my Islamic center. Okay, and one of the things I always dress ethnically when I give a sermon. It just, I don't know. It just feels right. I don't know, but it's what I do. I had to go pick something up before I came home, and I didn't even think, not even gave it a second thought, and went straight into a Walmart and dressed in a throbe and a white kufi. And I didn't pay attention to anybody. I'm like going around, okay, I got what I got. Now I'm going to stand in line to pay for it. And I got this real uneasy feeling. Everybody was looking at me. I turned around and people were whispering to each other and looking at me. And I was like, oh, that's what that feels like. Don't like that. Don't like that. But in saying that, it goes the same thing with an ethnic Muslim. You will very rarely ever see the ethnic Muslims, especially dress traditionally. You just don't. And that's fine. It's no big deal. But but they're marked as soon as they go outside. They're marked. It's funny because I remember there was this one guy that actually thought a Mexican guy was an Arab. And I was like, dude, you're way off, man. Just because this is people's judgment over each other.
Whole different continent, just
yes,
being
yeah, exactly. So, but it's not a bad thing, and we look at it as Muslims as, oh no, I'm being targeted, I'm being pointed out. No, it's a blessing. It's a blessing because
Brother Richard,
you realize, yes.
Do you think it's more dangerous in our times now than in the previous generations?
It can be. It can be. Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Yeah, it can be. It can be very, very deadly.
That's scary.
And that's something that we have to live with in the back of our mind. We just have to. All you can do, because everything's up to Allah anyway. All you can do is be the best Muslim you can. And hiding is not the best Muslim you can be. It's just not. It's just not. Ours is to be out there. We're supposed to be teachers to humanity. It's our mission. And we do that first and foremost by our character and then our words. And we have to be out in order to do that. You have to be out. You can't stay home and do that. You just can't. So, I can't tell you, no, go outside, go to the store, put a sign on your back. I'm a Muslim and I'm proud. I'm not telling you to do that. Okay. I can't. But you have to make yourself known. You have to put yourself out into the public eye and say, yes, I am here. Get to know me. Don't pass judgment on me. Just get to know me. And in saying that, I also want to tell the Muslims, don't pass judgment on anybody else either. I have a lot of brothers that I've talked to that just, will say rude things, rude comments about other people, other ethnicities, other religions and stuff like that. No.
Horrible.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. I had a brother one time come up to me in the Masjid and says, it's been a while since 9/11, man, and people have gotten to know the religion a little bit better. People, converting a lot in America, why do Americans still hate us? I said, it's actually an easy answer. But you're not going to like it. He said, why? I said, it's your fault. He said, what do you mean it's my fault? I didn't do anything. Exactly. You didn't do anything. You can change it. It's up to you. You want to change people's perspective, then change it. Change it. Otherwise, you're going to let Fox News do it for you.
And we see what that leads to, unfortunately, with today's political climate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Brother Richard, it's been a blessing having you here, but I do know that in your time zone, it may be time near for Salah or prayer.
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah.
So I want to thank you, Brother Richard, for being with us here today. And inshallah, in the future, you can join us again. We have multiple platforms with multiple people wanting to hear from you. So, you know, we are extending a second invitation to you. We will be in contact. You're a wonderful speaker, wonderful individual. And we want to say thank you very much for joining us.
Yes.
Always a pleasure, brother.
May Allah bless all your efforts and bless those that you love and keep everyone safe.
Ameen. Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Richard. All right, guys, you just heard from Brother Richard McKinney. He is a friend of Brother Kenny Boma's. Kenny Boma, quoting an ayah from the Quran here, I believe, says, "Let there be a group among you who will invite others to do good deeds, command them to obey the law, that is the law of God, and prohibit them from committing sins. These people will have eternal happiness." And there's something beautiful that Brother Mustafa just said that to you. We have to speak with people kindly and lovingly, and we can't, you know, paint all folks with the same strokes, right? You know, I saw a video recently where a Muslim on a Zoom platform actually made racist statements to another individual, and I was shocked at this. Right, guys, we have to do better. We have to do as best as we can. We got to police ourselves and our friends and our colleagues, and we can't let hate ruin us as well. We must be loving, caring, and fair to all others. Brother Vincent, you know, you heard from Brother Richard. Inshallah, it benefits you and your community. Is there any other information about the incident that you would like to share with us? So, any advice that you yourself would like to share with us brothers who are going out there every day and inviting people to Islam?
Just say go out there in the way that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went out. Go out there and love people for the sake of Allah.
I mean, except the support Liverpool Football Club. I mean, you can't expect us to love those kinds of people, but we got to be inconsistent here, like I said. So brothers, you know, we've reached the 1 hour mark or just thereabouts. We've had a wonderful episode. We want to thank everyone for joining us on Under the Prophet Muhammad campaign Facebook page. This Facebook page is a big part of our plans going forward. We've had some pretty brilliant guests on recently. We've done some really interesting topics, and the topic today, again, terror against Muslims, was a very important one. Brother Mustafa, you have to deal in your line of business with antagonistic people almost all day long, people that want to put up a fight. And I'm sure that you've learned some de-escalation tactics in your field. Would you like to share any of those de-escalation tactics with us? And if you tell me hugs and kisses, we might have an issue because we have right now. We can't do hugs and kisses. So do you got anything else?
Well, first things first is that you don't want to trigger them off. That's the first thing first. There's a thing that you don't want to, when someone is provoking you, you don't want to trigger them off. There could be many reasons why they are provoking you. They could be personal reason, again, hatred, personal reason. There could be, drug related issue and so on. So we have to first analyze. That's the first thing. Secondly is that just want to go back to the point that when you said about love, I think we need to also show a lot of love and respect to our Muslims as well, because it seems to be that we're having a lot of issues with Muslim brothers and so on. So, and we need to get together, unite always. And if we have any sort of problems with our Muslim brothers, sisters, or family members, do not be afraid to apologize or think to yourself, oh, I'm just going to keep, lower myself. No, apologizing would not lower your standard. It will only, put your status even higher. So do any sort of issues or problems you have, deal with it, sort it out with your brothers. We're one family. Remember that. And I just want to say, like, we all make mistakes. We all sin and we make mistakes. Allah forgives, and as Muslims, we should forgive our brothers and sisters. So again, let's all unite and be together. There's a lot of problems out there. Brother Vincent, Brother Richard, they're telling us their story. I mean, Alhamdulillah, it's not happened in our area, but it could happen. One of my brother once said that, look, it's happened in another country, it could happen here as well. So make dua to Allah that it doesn't happen to us. It could be your family next. Allah forbid. So, so we have to be vigilant and we have to pray to Allah for safety as well. So just because it happens somewhere else, it doesn't mean it cannot happen in our street.
So Brother Mustafa, what I'm hearing you saying is that some of these de-escalation tactics basically are to follow up on the advice of Brother Richard and some of what Brother Vincent said. Just be kind and good to people. Show them who you really are. Don't become aggressive or don't return the hatred. Guys, we're living in a very, very difficult time. And we don't want people to be pushed to the edge. We don't want to provoke people. We don't want to harass people. You at home, you can do your bit just by liking and sharing this video. Perhaps it is someone may hear Brother Richard's story and change their minds about Muslims. I mean, Brother Vincent and Brother Richard, they weren't born as Muslims. They did not grow up in Islamic homes. They did not have the opportunity to, hear the words of the Quran or the Adhan when they were first born. They didn't have these things, right? And so they had to give up a lot in their journey in accepting Islam, right? They would have lost friends, they would have lost family members, they would have lost people and relationships that mattered to them. And we all do have to struggle in this light. I mean, for goodness sake, look at my beard and Brother Vincent's beard. I mean, if I flipped him upside down, he can be a Christmas tree. But the point is, we love him. And that is the point. Brother Vincent, mashallah, your beard is beautiful. Brother Mustafa is messaging me. He's asking me, can you ask Brother Vincent what's his secret beard growth serum that he uses? You got any tips for Brother Mustafa there, Brother Vincent?
Argan oil.
Argan oil. Okay. Well, Brother Mustafa, you got your answer, inshallah. Brother Vincent, thank you for joining us today. Guys, I think we're going to sign off. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, don't forget to like the Honor the Prophet Muhammad campaign Facebook page. Don't forget to like the Dawah Collective on YouTube. And don't forget to like Calling Christians, a wonderful YouTube channel that has, if I may say so, some very brilliant videos. Thank
Just
you for
one
joining.
more thing, Brother Ijaz. Just one more thing. I just wanted to add one point, well, from the Quran, a verse, Surah Fusilat, chapter 41, verse 34. Good and evil are not equal. Repel evil with good, and the person who was your enemy becomes like an intimate friend.
Indeed.
So, subhanAllah.
Subhanallah.
Again, this is the teaching.
And just one thing I want to add as well, brothers, is that what is Islam? Islam is the way of life. So a lot of people at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they accepted Islam by his actions. So we need to try and better ourselves so we can then improve the society, and therefore then the society can accept how we are, and then they can follow us as examples. And this is the way we have to move forward. And like I said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us hidayat, and and give us the opportunity to convey the message in the way that it's supposed to be conveyed to the people of different faiths. Ameen.
I want to see if I can get Brother Mukit in here just before we leave. I know he had some audio issues just now, but Brother Mukit, you seem to be clear right now. Do you have any words for our audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think Khabib the Eagle said it best. Non-Muslims don't read the Quran, right? They don't read the Hadith. They read you. So be a good ambassador for Islam. So Islam isn't you could have all the arguments and counter arguments and all these things, but they fall on deaf ears if you don't do it with rahmah, with compassion and mercy, right, and proper adab. So I think Yemenite Front in the chat said he quoted Aisha's hadith, right, as far as the Prophet was seen as the walking, talking Quran. So if we want to emulate the best of creation, so we have to not just use arguments and rationality, but make sure we inject that with compassion and mercy, right?
Indeed. And indeed, in the Quran, Surah 21, Ayah 107, indeed, we have not sent you, O the Prophet, except to be a mercy to all of mankind, a mercy to everything in existence. And that is what we walk away with at the end of the day. Brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us. It was wonderful to have you all here for today's program. May Allah be with you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Well,
So,